All right, guys, what's going on? It's Jack, and welcome back to another video. And over the last couple of years or so, I always like to come back and kind of have a little discussion about this this subject, and I figured now is as good a time as any. Why not? So I wanted to talk about crossplay, and I wanted to talk about whether or not it was a good idea. And of course, we're talking multiplayer crossplay specifically. In terms of single-player crossplay, obviously, I don't think there's any debate out there. I think single-player crossplay in pretty much any game, even if it does have a multiplayer component, but in terms of the single-player aspect of any game out there that has the option to have crossplay, is an absolutely wonderful thing. It really is. You know, when you can play with your friends, regardless of, or even against them, you know, depending on what that single player experience is or whatever it is, it really is a blessing in terms of that aspect. And of course, it also depends on the game. Obviously, like let's say, for example, if it's a game like Fall Guys or whatnot, I don't think any single console or PC player would be complaining about, oh shit, this guy's got mouse and keyboard, fuck him, he's got the advantage or something like that, and the debate that keeps on going back and forth. So you guys can already tell where I'm going with this. So without further ado, let's start it. So back in now, obviously, crossplay is nothing new, but it is, well, games like Fortnite and a few other games implemented it here and there. But the thing is, especially with Call of Duty, when they first announced crossplay in terms of Modern Warfare 2019, it was definitely one of the highlights, and I think a lot of players were very happy about it, myself included. I made a video back then about how we've been asking for it for a long time, and now we're finally getting it, and how great it is, and all that good stuff. So there's absolutely zero doubt that crossplay on paper is 100% a very good idea, and there's a lots of good reasons as to why you want it implemented into your game, right? Because the more people play your game, the better, and you know, whether it's with or against, you know, regardless of whatever platform and stuff like that. But whether or not it was a bad idea really goes down to the input device that you play on. So the question is, are you playing on mouse and keyboard, or are you playing on controller? Now, with controller, obviously, there's the advantage of aim assist, which favors tracking in terms of when you get on target with your controller, tracking is pretty much easy. Let's just say it's a lot easier to do on a controller with aim assist than it would be to do with mouse and keyboard without aim assist. And now conversely, you've got the mouse and keyboard side of things to where snapping onto target is amazing, right? And even easier to do than the console side of things in terms of gamepad with aim assist. However, here's the thing though. Aim assist has definitely been tweaked since the good old golden days of Call of Duty. And what I mean by this, it seems that aim assist has definitely been increased, which is despite the fact that I've been a console player for the majority of my gaming journey. And even though I also play on mouse and keyboard now, thanks to the PC that I recently purchased, at the end of the day, I'm always going to be a player that plays pretty much anything, and whether or not I take full on mouse and keyboard versus you know, instead of playing on controller or whatnot, a lot of times it really just depends on the game. Like for instance, in Halo Infinite, mouse and keyboard is just not good for Halo. And then of course you've got conversely, you got games like I don't know, let me just like for instance, obviously games like CS:GO, Valorant, Overwatch. I've played Overwatch on both, and obviously the game was made for PC, but it's good to have on console. But again, it was made for PC, and there's always going to be that endless debate on controller and aim assist versus mouse and keyboard. Now, for competitive, obviously crossplay is not a thing for competitive in terms of like pro, because there are certain advantages, like I talked about earlier, that mouse and keyboard have over controller, and certain advantages that controller has over mouse and keyboard. And if a game is to truly be competitive, everything has to be even-steven from the ground up. Like everybody's got to be on the same input, so that way nobody has a specific advantage over another player from the get-go. Now, it's obviously a lot different if you pick up a power weapon, right? You've pretty much earned the right to have that advantage if you have a power weapon. But even then, you know, you're not guaranteed. You up your chances greatly, but you're not guaranteed to get that kill with a power weapon, right? It's not a guarantee. You still have to work for it, right? So, and this is where the difference is. Like, this is why competitive doesn't exist with mouse and keyboard versus controller, because automatically from the get-go, as soon as you spawn in and you start the game, depending on your input device, you're already at an advantage over another player depending on the situation from the get-go and for the entirety of the game. So therefore, that's not really competitive. And if you take Call of Duty design, especially as of lately, of course, it doesn't make sense. And this is why a lot of players, especially players that are good players and especially players that are beyond the casual realm, this is why they're complaining a lot about the design philosophy and decision-making of, like, let's say Modern Warfare 2 that's currently going on right now, or whatever other game out there that's being in development. So now, there's a few theories about aim assist that I've had. One is kind of crazy, but I seriously doubt that they did this. But the thing is, obviously everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people right now are using Cronus Zen Maxes, which is absolutely ridiculous. They even promote that shit at GameStop, right? Anyway, the thing is, I'm starting to wonder, did they increase the aim assist for, like, let's say a Call of Duty game in order to kind of help the players that are on controller against the Cronus Zen Max users? Or did they do it because they're afraid of mouse and keyboard? Right off the bat, in terms of what I think, obviously I would think that, you know, a lot of players are afraid of mouse and keyboard, or a lot of people are just afraid of mouse and keyboard players. And most people out there have certainly not played on mouse and keyboard, despite the fact that PC gaming has become more popular over the last couple of years. So, one of the things is, you know, people throughout life, throughout the history of the human race, you know, people have always feared what they don't understand. And the thing is, unless you've played on mouse and keyboard yourself, you will not ever truly completely understand what it's like and all that kind of stuff. You might see a few players out there and you might be seeing them play like amazing. Like you might look at Shroud, you might look at Syrian, or you might see XCal Now, or a Sandy Ravage, or a PwnStars.com, or even competitive players that play CSGO, or that play Overwatch, or that play Valorant, or whatnot. And then you think to yourself, you're like, yeah, I see what they're, just by seeing that alone, you're like, yeah, I would. It's very easy to take on the side of the controller player, because it's like, yeah, controller players can't do this. And it's like, well, at the same time, mouse and keyboard players can't do other things as well. Now, master level users of mouse and keyboard can do some amazing things. And I've seen a lot of people that have transferred over. I used to see what they used to do on controller. And of course, after a few years of them being on PC, it's like they're way better than they ever were on controller, because of the freedom that mouse and keyboard gets. But at the same time, you work for it. You really do. It makes you work for it. Controller is a lot more forgiving because of the aim assist and because of the way the design works on the controller. Mouse and keyboard is quite much more of a learning curve. So at the same time, it's like, well, you put in the time into it. You know, they both obviously have rewards, but for a PC player, I think if you really truly put the time into it and you really focus on it, you can do amazing things. You know, and at the same time, a lot of people don't know that it's like, despite the input, it's like, you know, there's work being put into getting really that good at mouse and keyboard. And the thing is, with aim assist and with how controller works, the PC player on their side would say, well, there's less and less work to be done. People are not as good as they used to be. It's just given to them because they're beefing up the aim assist. And on top of that, you got your Cronus and Zen users and all that other shit. So when you look at it, it's an endless back and forth debate on mouse and keyboard versus controller users. And, you know, this is where I want to hear from you guys. You know, do you guys think that crossplay, you know, although sounding good on paper, you know, for pubs at least, right? Or for social playlists, depending on whatever game you play and whatever it's called. Now, we've already said that for competitive, it's like a no-go. But like in terms of pubs and all that kind of stuff, are you for it or are you against it? Or do you really not care? You know, or I know that the question may not be so black and white and so cut and dry for, you know, depending on who you're talking to. And depending on their experiences and what they have personally experienced and what they've played on or what they currently play on. So, but I'm really curious to know, should crossplay have ever been a thing in the first place, at least for Call of Duty or for certain games? Like, what do you guys think? Do you think crossplay is better on certain games than it is for others? You know, because obviously Fortnite has been doing crossplay for a while, I think longer than Call of Duty, obviously. So I really am curious. I really want to know, does Fortnite do it better? Does Apex Legends do it better? Or is it the same shit, different day? Or is this Call of Duty the biggest violator of the whole beefing up aim assist for whatever reason? Because they really, really want to cater and protect the noobs. They've been doing that since, since the Advanced Movement days, you know, from Advanced Warfare and up, you know, or was it Black Ops 3 and up where the difference was really noticeable? But ever since, gameplay got more complicated, at least back then, aim assist went up for obvious reasons. Back then, still, the good player still had the upper hand, but now it seems like they're just, they're not about widening the skill gap. They're about bridging it. And it's like, if you want there to be a skill gap, play competitive only. It seems like that seems to be the mindset of a lot of games nowadays. But let me know down in the comment section. Are other games out there that are implementing crossplay and multiplayer? Are they doing it better than Call of Duty, or is Call of Duty the worst? Or is it the same shit regardless of what game you're playing out there in the year 2022? So let me know down in the comment section what you guys think. So yeah, in my opinion, I keep going back and forth, which is another reason why I wanted to make this video. It's to me personally, it's not so cut and dry, especially been on both sides myself, but I definitely see the pros and cons from both sides when they implement their opinions. Anyway, that's all I got for this one, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.